Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to give you my best tips for buying a second-hand car or van. So as I like vans, as you know, this is a van channel, VW Caddy Maxis, I'm going to be talking about vans. So if you're going to buy a van, you've got to think, what are you going to use that van for? You know, are you going to use it for surfing, mountain biking, hiking, camping trips away, or just general storage? So you've got to think, what's the best van for you? So when I was looking at buying a Caddy Maxi, I did some research on different vans. I went and test drove a few new vans and got a feel of how big they are and what I'd need. I quickly learned that the small wheelbase Caddy was too small and I would then need a Caddy Maxi. But before I did this, I did look into other vans, and a good website to look into this to find what van is good for you is parkers.co.uk. So on Parkers you can have a look at what the most reliable vans are, what their specs are, what the MPG is, because to me that's quite important. You know, if you're driving around doing a lot of miles, you want to have good fuel economy. So at this point you might have narrowed it down to a couple of vans. For me, I'd narrowed it down to a Citroen Dispatch, a Ford Transit Connect and a VW Caddy Maxi. I then went and drove a VW Caddy Maxi, a 2014 model, and it was quite a nice van. While I was at the garage, I then asked what they thought about the vans, and they recommended going for a VW or a Ford. I then went to my local garage where I'd had work done in the past on my cars, like my Polo and my Seat Ibiza, and they again recommended going for a VW or a Ford. So for me personally, this cancelled out the Citroen. So I now knew that I was going to go for a Ford or VW Caddy Maxi. The next step, I needed to test drive a Ford. So I went down to a second-hand van centre and test drove a Ford. I also test drove a VW Caddy Maxi again. At this point, I then realised I really didn't like the Ford. I just didn't really like the dashboard and just the way it felt. It just wasn't for me. So for me, I now knew that I wanted a VW Caddy Maxi. So the next step was finding one to buy. So as I was looking to buy them, you look on the typical websites such as Facebook, eBay, Gumtree, Auto Trader. So they're the top ones I'd recommend if you're looking. And the best way I like to do is, it depends on what kind of budget you've got, but sometimes put in the highest mileage so you can see how high these vans go. For example, if you put it to the highest mileage and all the vans are only getting to 100,000 miles, you might think they're not very reliable because at 100,000 miles, there's none above that selling. Whereas with certain vans, it might be 300, 400,000 miles. So you know if you're going to buy one at 100,000 miles or less, or 200,000 miles, it's still got some life in it and it's going to be a reliable van for you. So my next tip is, once you narrow down what van you want, go onto Facebook or any forum groups and join in a forum. So for example, VW Caddy Maxis, join a VW Caddy forum and you can quickly discover what the main issues are with that van. So for example, the VW Caddy Maxis, if you join a forum and type in problems, issues, breakdown, it'll come up with all the searches that people put in and all the posts of all the issues they had. With VW Caddy Maxi, the 1.6 engines, they've got an issue with their injectors. So I'd quickly know, going into this group, being in the group within a couple of days, doing a little bit of research, that I know if I'm going to buy one of these vans, the injectors might cause me issues in the future. So once you've found a couple of vans that you want to buy, the next tip is MOT history. It's quite a simple thing to do, but some people might not know how to do it. All you have to do is go on the government website, gov.co.uk, MOT History Check, you put in the number plate and it'll give you the full MOT history for that vehicle. So you can find out if it's had any problems in the past or it's quite a clean vehicle. If it's had like no issues, then you know it's a clean vehicle. But if you, on every MOT, if you can see that it's had loads of issues, then you know that actually it's maybe not been looked after that well, or it's just problematic. And it might be a good one to stay away from. I looked at one van about last year and it had an oil leak, and on every MOT it still had the oil leak. So either people had not bothered fixing it or it couldn't be fixed. So that was alarm bells to me, thinking if I buy this van, I'm going to have an oil leak issue that's just going to get worse. So it was a no-go to buy it. So the next tip, if you are going to go buy a van, is to get a HPI check. That ensures that there's no finance on that van. If that van has got finance on it, the seller technically can't sell that van to you because they don't own it, because a finance company owns it. So these checks are about £8 online. Don't pay about 30 or 40 quid. Some out there are really expensive. It should be about £8 to do, and it'll give you MOT history, but more importantly, the main thing it'll give you is a finance check to make sure that that person owns that vehicle outright and can sell it to you. So if you're going to buy from a second-hand garage, you get a lot more peace of mind, because if anything goes wrong, they normally provide 3 months or 6 months warranty. Typically before the sale, they'll give the van a full MOT, a full service. If the water pump needs doing or the cam belt, they'll normally do all this for you. It depends on the garage and their reputation, but normally they do all of that before the sale because they don't want any problems coming back to you. When you are going to buy from a garage, my main tip would be look at reviews of the garage. If it's a good reputable garage, it'll have loads of good 5-star reviews, and then you know you've got a bit of peace of mind buying it. Bear in mind, buying from a garage though, you are going to pay a premium. You're going to pay a little bit more because you are getting that service. One advantage is that you could part exchange your old vehicle if you've got one, but again, you're not going to get as much money part exchanging than you are from a private sale, so it's a little bit more hassle. If you're going to buy from a private seller, obviously you don't get as much peace of mind, it can be a little bit risky. Most people aren't out to scam you, but obviously some people are. My main tip would be to use a website called ClickMechanic. On ClickMechanic, you can pay about £200 and you can get the RAC to inspect the vehicle for you. They'll do about a 200-point check. And this is brilliant because it will go through the whole vehicle. You can pay for different levels of what check you want to do. But I'll go for the most expensive one, which is about £200, which is like the gold or premium, I can't remember what they call it. And you can go through there and get a full check on the vehicles. This way it tells you if there's any issues with that vehicle. And if there is any issues, you can decide whether it's worth going for or not worth going for. If you're spending £1,000 on a vehicle and this check's 200 quid, it's not really worth doing. But if you're spending a couple £1,000, then it's really worth doing. And you've got to remember, it adds value to when you resell the vehicle. If you decide in a year, 3 years time, you don't want that van anymore or that car, then obviously when you sell it to that person, you can give them peace of mind because you can give them a report and say, look, when I bought this, I did all this check and you can see there's no issues on this vehicle and it's spotless. In your time, you might have given it services and regular MOTs, so you've got that along with the ClickMechanic report to say to them, look, it's a really clean van and there's no issues, and then it gives them peace of mind as well. So it adds value to reselling that car. The great thing about ClickMechanic reports as well, if there is issues, like when I bought one of my vans, it had bold tyres. So that's a negotiating point with the seller. You can say, look, I really like the van, it's great, I want to buy it, however, it's got bold tyres. Would you consider knocking off half the price of new tyres? In my case, the guy was really tough, didn't want to negotiate because it was already a cracking deal and I didn't get it, but it's worth trying, you never know. The worst they can say is no. So my next point, when you're buying a second-hand vehicle, is ask as many questions as you like. You know, you've driven all that way, it might be locally or it might be 5 hours away to get this van. Just ask as many questions as you like. If you're unsure about something or it doesn't feel right, don't go for it. You know, there's always going to be another van. You always think it's a good deal, but there'll always be another deal around the corner. So always remember that and always ask as many questions as you can. So my final point is AA breakdown, garage and parts labour cover. It's the same breakdown cover as you get of most vehicles. They come on the roadside, they fix you, off you go. If they can't fix you on the roadside or you need an expensive part, normally you have to pay out your pocket for that. Or they'll tell you to a garage, the garage does the work, sends you the bill, and it'll be more expensive because it could be a garage that's near the motorway or wherever you're broken down. It might not be a local garage to you. They know it's a breakdown, so they can add a bit more money onto the bill. What the garage and labour cover does is you get 5 claims a year up to £535. It's £35 excess. However, if you get towed to a garage and the bill's 400 quid, AA will cover that 400 quid depending what work needs to be done. They will go off the vehicle handbook of how much time it takes to repair that issue. So for example, if in that vehicle handbook it says it takes 1 hour to fix that issue and your mechanic's taken 3 hours, they will cover 1 hour of that price and you have to pay the other 2 hours. So it does help you out and saves you a lot of money. Especially the VW Caddy Maxis and their injector issues. If one of them goes, it can be anywhere between £400 to £600 per injector and you've got 4 in the engine. If one goes, typically they all go. So if you're on the roadside, you can think, oh God, my injector's gone. That's going to be £400, £600. Whereas the guy will come along with AA van, got an injector in the van, he'll swap it over, fix it, you pay him 35 quid, off you drive. Absolutely brilliant. For me, it was about £130 for the year for my Caddy, so it's really worth doing. You can pay it monthly and break it down. I'll drop a link in the video description below for it, but it's really worth doing to give that peace of mind. Especially if you're buying an old van to convert into a camper, you know, you've got high mileage, it's an old van, you know, you can do it on any vehicle and it's really, really good cover. It can really help you out if you get into a bad situation. There you go guys, they're my top tips for buying second-hand cars or vans, mainly about vans. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I'll see you in the next one.